Hello and welcome back to Retrotainment Recast. I'm in the judge's seat here after taking back over for Sherlock, who was in the judge's seat. He's back from his long-term illness for this week at the
Lo-
very least.
losing itis.
Yeah,
Shaking it off, shaking it off.
2 weeks he's been back now, judge for one, and then he's in here for this. He will be on the show one way or the other next week, as will I. Because if Carl wins, he will end Greg's very long streak here. But if he loses, that'll bring us back into another triple threat from Greg. So it's an interesting set here now. But as always, how are you, Greg, the Le Champion?
I'm still here. I'm still the man.
Still running.
I'm not too bad.
I actually think, right, and I'd have to look this up, but I'm definitely on a 3 week I haven't lost in 3 weeks. I haven't actually lost because I drew with you, and I think it could actually be longer because I think the last one I had with you might have been a draw as well. I actually think I'm on a really long, not losing streak, but just haven't been champion for it.
That's a sidebar. That's a sidebar.
Yeah.
That sucks when that happens.
Yeah, and then we have Carl Sherlock back in. He's back in. This is his first one-on-one since, I believe, V for Vendetta.
Jesus, that's a long one. That's a long time ago now.
I was champion V for Vendetta. I remained champ after.
That was a poor performance from me as the judge. Then I didn't even rewatch the movie because I didn't like it that much.
See, I would have won.
No, well, you wouldn't. You made the critical error of using a man who said, "I will not be in films where I die." In a film where he dies, a critical error. But this week we are going with something that's, I guess, a little bit out of our wheelhouse in true romance. Although it doesn't lean into the romance as heavy as the title would suggest.
Don't forget, Sherlock was the judge last week and still picked this to try and challenge me. This wasn't given to us by the king. He gave me this choice.
He did.
He picked the movie.
So
I wanted to rewatch it.
He's coming in strong here, and we'll see how he does. But as always, lads, if you could just send your picks in there, just in case there's any matches to ensure there's no skullduggery and
tomfoolery.
Yes, I have them both there, and I also have picks from the king and from a long-time listener, Tom, who's sent in quite a few picks over the last while, and he has a good set of picks here as well. Now I have to say, there's a few from his
touchdown, Tom.
Yeah, there's a few from his that they don't necessarily match mine, but they were in my mind. Kings, I think maybe one or two of them were in my mind, but I think he has them, in my opinion, he had them kind of mixed up anyway. But we'll go from the start.
That doesn't bode well for me because me and King think a lot alike sometimes.
In recent times, yes, you do seem to have thought very similar.
Except when one of us are to judge for each other. That's when we did.
Yeah, then you seem to fall apart. We'll start anyway, and as always, it's Le Champion's advantage. So we will start with one of the smaller characters. So we'll start with Virgil, right? Who is the thug that beats up Alabama, because although that scene is important, it's basically his only real scene in the film.
Or when he comes in and Brad Pitt's absolutely baked off his face. And, do you want to come watch TV?
Yeah. Now, I will say
that's a character we're not recasting. Yeah.
We are not recasting Brad Pitt because the character is literally just stoned out of his whole mind, and you could kind of put nearly anyone there, and it would have just been adding to a long list here anyway. So
it definitely would have been Pete Davidson.
I
wouldn't think so. No.
I probably would have gone Pete Davidson there now, to be honest. I think he would have fit in there quite well. But anyway, we'll go with Virgil here. So, Greg, who have you got?
For Big Verge, James Gandolfini was an absolute monster, but he was
Yes.
he was relatively small at this time.
He wasn't a
Yeah,
big
it was
name.
it
He
was
was quite young.
before The Sopranos.
Yeah.
No, but like I mean, small in stature. Even he wasn't as big as he became. Like,
Yeah, he bulked
Yeah, he
out
was
a bit
still.
over the years. He still looked big, but again, I don't know is that because Alabama is quite a small character.
yeah,
So it could be
Patricia
that.
Arquette, yeah.
Yeah.
So as a backup, obviously he's an absolute monster. And he just fucks her around the place. I had a backup with Batista, but I could never really settle on it. And then the whole Italian American thing, I was like, no. So I went with someone that kind of looks Italian American. I went with Bobby Cannavale here.
Okay. And
Obviously
Sherlock,
Ant-Man and
Jumanji.
every other
Yeah.
movie. Every other movie.
He's become a bit popular now the last few weeks. I used him not too long ago as well.
Yeah.
Sherlock, who have you got here?
I did go with Dave Bautista.
Okay. I will
Yeah, I just think, like Virgil's this big, like he's this henchman. He's basically mercilessly beats out Alabama. This day and age, they're going to get someone big in to do it.
The only thing is, I'd say he's far too big to take that small of a role.
And an
I know,
ensemble cast, he might.
I know certain actors do, but he's not going to do it now.
I think he would if it was a big ensemble cast that would even still get his name out there, even a bit. I think Batista would be the type of guy that would do that.
I mean, I don't think he needs his name out there anymore. He's coming off Guardians 3. He's coming off Knock at the
Oh,
Cabin,
don't
which
get me
was
wrong,
sensational.
he is a name, but I think he would add kind of
Power.
yeah. Let's be honest, yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
will.
limited screen time. We know that Batista can do things well with limited screen time. He's done that in James Bond, playing
Was he in James Bond, was he?
He
He
was.
was. Yeah, it was before. Was that before Guardians, or it was like while he was doing
It was.
Guardians?
I think it was after. I think it was after the first one, but I think they release dates. Yada yada yada. He hadn't made a big thing
Yeah.
yet, but he plays a henchman and he's like intimidating like that. I think it works very well for this role.
It's half the reason I didn't stick with him was because I think he's just not gonna take a role that has probably 5 minutes of screen time, 6 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's memorable.
I will tell you now that both of you would have got a point based on Tom or King. So Greg, you would have taken a point if Tom was judging. He also had Bobby Cannavale. And Sherlock, you would have
King
taken
had Batista.
King, also had Batista.
Naturally.
Yeah. I actually think both of those names are probably a little bit too big for this role. Virgil, he wasn't a big name at this time, really, when it came into this film. This is 93, so it's very pre-Sopranos, so he's not really established at this point. I went for someone I've used in the past. I went for Drew Powell, who's from Gotham. He's just a thug in Gotham. He's a big guy, and you could see him doing that. And he's not such a big name that you need to be worrying about how much am I going to have to pay this guy to come on for 6 minutes of screen time.
Sure.
Can't say I like either of those picks particularly. I think they're both too big for the role.
Batista's far bigger though, to be fair.
I think Batista suits the role in terms of stature and physical presence more than Bobby Cannavale does. But Bobby Cannavale suits the role in terms, out of those two anyway, in terms of name value at the moment. I'm a little bit torn on this one now, I have to say. I don't really know where to go. I don't really like either of those picks.
The only one thing I would say then about the argument for it against Batista would be he tends to steal the screen when he's on it. Even like that scene where they're in the trailer with Dennis Hopper and it's Christopher Walken. If you're putting Batista in the background, that he's gonna try and steal the scene anyway. It's the same as Margot Robbie does.
Yeah.
Where
He can
Cannavale
be.
just sit in. He
Again,
doesn't though,
like,
because if you've seen Knock at the Cabin, even when Rupert Grint and the two girls are talking, he's still doing stuff in the back, and the camera just pans to him.
well, that's the director's choice.
Yeah. I don't really know where to go with this one.
Call it a point apiece and we move on.
I wish I could do that, but it sets a bad precedent. I'm gonna go with the look here, and I'm gonna go Batista. I just think he fits that more physically than Bobby Cannavale. Bobby Cannavale is definitely closer in terms of name value, but he's not the big guy that you need there, and both could kind of fit that Sicilian gangster type as well, really.
Yeah.
So it will be a point to Sherlock, an early point here, but that's doesn't always mean that you're going to win.
Not for me.
I've seen this man go 2-0 up and lost 6-3.
Yeah,
And that was only because it was a draw on one of them.
I guess the next one to go is probably Clifford, the dad. I'm going to go him and Vincenzo here. I think those are the next two, really.
Yeah.
Because they only have the
Clifford
one
Worley.
Scene. Yeah, Clifford Worley. They only have the one scene in the caravan together, really. I actually thought that Vincenzo would have more in this. I thought he'd show up later in the scenes, especially at the end, and he just doesn't.
Yeah, it was a bit weird, isn't it?
He just sends his henchmen to do it, yeah. Which I suppose you would if you were that big a guy. So, Sherlock, who do you have here?
So I had two for this one. My backup was Bryan Cranston.
Okay.
But I wasn't too keen on it. But when this guy came into my head, I don't always like using the biggest of actors, which sometimes bites me in the ass, sometimes doesn't. But I thought a big name would fit in well here.
Hopper was a big name.
Yeah, he was.
Exactly.
That's what I was going to say. He was a big name here. So I'm actually glad you've gone a big name, because that's what I wanted. I wanted a big name here. This is kind of the seller here.
Yes. So I think this guy, you can make you care about him, and then given like the extra for the heartbreaking death scene and all that type of stuff, getting that maximum impact out of it. I went with RDJ himself.
Fuck off.
RDJ, okay. Greg?
Yeah.
I have RDJ as well.
I will double check to confirm. So we have RDJ and RDJ. Yeah, so that's a draw on that one, which could work out for you, Greg, in the long run.
I mean, the fact that I lost my opening point but didn't lose his opening point.
Yes, that is always a bit of a hit. I will tell you who the lads had now. So for Clifford, King had David Harbour. I can see where he's going here, but I can see
where he's going. Yeah,
I can see where he's going. The tough love father thing. I can see where he's going. I don't think it works for here. I don't think it's a big enough name. And Tom had a Kyle Chandler, which is a bit of an out there pick. I don't really know if it fits in. I kind of forget how big of a name Kyle Chandler is at times. He does have a lot of films under his belt. So I
can see that, yeah.
I can actually see it. When I first read it, I kind of thought, I don't know what Tom's thinking here. I don't think that works, but I kind of do forget how big of a name he is. I also went a big name here. I went a really big name here. I went George Clooney, who I think would play the dad very well. I think he could deliver that scene. I'm thinking of him from in Dusk Till Dawn.
All right, okay, yeah.
I'm thinking of him around that time when he's that dick of a character in that. I think that character fits very well to the dad here.
I think he's changed his image so much since then. He's gone past that. I don't think he could ever go back.
I think he could go back. It'd just be whether he wanted to or not. I think he's that good an actor. If he wanted to go back to being that sort of dick character, he'd easily be able to do it. Like, his acting chops are brilliant.
No doubt about
that. We did unfortunately see him go back to being Bruce Wayne.
And that's what I was going to say. He took quite a small role in that film. Do you know what I mean? So
Flash, is it?
In the Flash, yeah, he takes quite a small role in that. So
it's just literally a word joke at the end.
Yeah, but he does take that small role. And I was kind of like, that kind of fits in here. I think he could deliver the lines well. And as Sherlock said, the kind of heartfelt part. I think he could draw people in with that story. So I thought he'd worked quite well there. But it's a point apiece with Robert Downey Jr., who is an old favorite from here and definitely works. He's a chameleon; he can fit in anywhere. So we'll go back.
The other one I was thinking on that one was Christian Bale.
He's not.
Would
I don't
it
think he's old
have
enough.
picked it?
I don't think so. I think age probably would have been a little bit of a factor. Now that again would have.
It's a good change then.
Yeah, it would have. Again, that all would have really boiled down to how old you, like if you decided to age up the likes of Clarence and stuff who were in their 20s in this.
Yeah.
If you age them up to 30, then Christian Bale, you're really pushing it with Christian Bale being here. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, I'm all right
So,
with it.
no.
I was happy enough. I just wanted to see if it would have.
No, I don't think you would have pipped. So you probably made the right choice to stick with RG or DJ there. We will go with Vincenzo here, who is not
Grand.
the head of the Sicilian mob. He's just the head that we see. He still reports to somebody.
In Sicily.
Yeah, but again, another big name thrown in here for a very brief cameo. So let's see who we've got. Greg, who have you got here?
So obviously Walken they brought in because he could kind of do anything at that time. The whole Italian American thing is obviously a big part in this. So for a while I had Steve Buscemi, but I just couldn't settle on it because he's just too old.
Yeah.
Maybe 15 years ago he was probably perfect for it. And then it dawned on me when I was re-listening to an episode that we recorded, and a certain name popped out. I went with Stanley Tucci here.
Okay.
Italian American run. Yeah, perfect. Doesn't do a whole lot. Can deliver the speech.
Yeah, I can see him taking that. Yeah. Sherlock, who have you got here?
So my backup here was literally because I seen a little clip of Many Saints of Newark, and I was just like, he plays a hot-tempered mafia guy, so I was like, I might put him in there. So for ages, I had John Barenthal in there.
I think your only issue would be the
No.
Sicilian part would be the issue with
exactly,
him there.
which is
Other
why
than that,
I think he probably fits Virgil more though, wouldn't he?
Yeah, again, you struggle with the Sicilian part.
But who I did end up going with was John Turturro.
John Turturro. It's a good show.
Yeah.
That is a good show. I'll tell you who the boys
Yeah,
have.
if you're going for a hot-tempered motherfucker.
Yeah.
What I found from walking in this is he's not actually overly hot-tempered. Everything's calculated. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, which
like there's no temper in him, because even when Hopper's giving that speech and he's like, all the Sicilians came from black people, this, that, and the other, and it was like your nanny or your great grandmother did this, and this. He's still just sitting there taking it.
He takes it very well until he decides that he's done with it.
Yeah.
Then
He
you
was
see
going to kill him anyway.
Well, see, he wasn't. Originally, they weren't.
It's such a good scene, isn't it?
Yeah. Originally, they weren't going to kill him because they originally planned to torture him to find out where the son had gone, and then he, like, that little speech did annoy him that much that he was like, "Great, fuck torturing him. Let's just kill him and we'll find out ourselves." So, yeah. I think the hot temper does play in there. I'll give you the lads' picks. I don't like this one at all. This King's one, Michael Shannon.
No.
I like Michael Shannon as an actor. I don't think he fits into that Sicilian role.
Again, imagine if you're going to do that, Virgil would have been the pick for there.
Again, it's more that they don't fit into that role of being Sicilian. Tom's one, I actually think does hit a little bit closer, but again, it's a bit of a strange one in Cillian Murphy.
I like that.
Again, I'd struggle to possibly buy the Sicilian part, but Cillian Murphy has been quite good at changing his accent.
He's a chameleon. He can do whatever he wants.
That's what I mean. He's very good, and I think part of that could be based off his performance in Oppenheimer a bit. Like, he's obviously a huge name now, just off the back of that. and he was a big name before that, really. Anyway, this is probably the one I dislike my pick for the most. I had a backup of Frank Grillo.
Oh, I like that.
I liked that, but my problem was name value, and I probably should have stuck with that because I do think Frank Grillo fits the role better. But I just went for a big name value here, similar to Walken at the time. I went for DiCaprio. I think DiCaprio can do it.
Yeah.
It's just, again,
I'd
would
say
he be
I'd say
interested in
if
it?
you were not the judge, you wouldn't have picked DiCaprio.
No, I probably wouldn't. I probably would have stuck with Frank Grillo because I think he's probably a better choice, and I think I probably could have argued him better.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, I don't know. Does he have the name value? Was kind of my issue here. Frank Grillo doesn't have the name value that Walken had
No.
at the time. Ooh, that's another tough one. Stanley Tucci or John Turturro.
Sure.
I think Tucci just oozes class the way Walken did in that. In
Yeah.
everything.
Turturro has more of the Sicilian, if we're going down that.
I think
I
Turturro
definitely wouldn't think so.
I think Turturro might be able to give out that Sicilian vibe, but Turturro's more of a wild character. He's up, like when he gets hot, it's quite aggressive, which isn't the way that Vincenzo is here. Like, he does get annoyed, but even when he pulls the trigger, he's still the picture of calm.
And he's like, I haven't killed anyone since 1984.
Yeah, I think Tucci might fit that part a little bit better, the calmness, whereas Turturro doesn't stay calm when he gets to that level. You know, he gets very aggressive and not shouty, but like loud. So I think Tucci kind of fits that a little bit better. So I'll go with Tucci there.
Get in, Tucci.
And that'll level us up.
On the Tucci.
I don't know, who do we go next? It's
Drexel, I'd imagine.
It has to be Blitzer or Donowitz, doesn't it?
See, it's either
No,
Elliot.
I'd say Drexel.
See, you have
I would have said
Elliot, Donowitz, or Drexel, and they're all quite small. I guess it doesn't really matter here. We'll go with Drexel because he dies quite early in the film.
yeah. See, if it had been the other way around, you would have said, well, Drexel will hang on towards the end.
Yeah, I'll probably go to Drexel just because he dies a little bit early in the film, and then the other two boys are kind of in the final scene with the rest of them.
What a random role for Gary Oldman.
Yeah, and it's not like Gary Oldman was not a name.
No, he was a big name.
He already had a name, and I thought he was brilliant as like, I did not know that was Gary Oldman when I was watching it the first time. I was like, who the fuck is that?
It's Gary Oldman. Like,
I know, yeah, but you wouldn't, like, you know, when you see that, you're not thinking that's Gary Oldman. That's how good he is at it. Like, he's just so so different in it.
Which is where my pick comes from.
Okay, yeah.
So I chose someone again who is a chameleon, and it's kind of out of his wheelhouse a little bit, but not so much that you wouldn't believe that you take a role like this, even though he's a big name. My backup was one that I put in was Idris Elba. I was just like, it doesn't really work.
I don't like Idris Elba there.
No.
But I did go for someone that was mentioned earlier on but wasn't picked. I went with Christian Bale here.
Okay, Christian Bale could do that. He is a chameleon. He can fit in kind of anywhere.
He can do fucking anything, just like Gary Oldman can. Like,
you're actually relatively lucky you didn't pick Idris Elba. Otherwise, I'd be taking a point straight away because they refer to him as a white man who thinks he's black.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was like, I didn't want to say it yet because I didn't want to tilt the scales. But yeah, that would have been a big breaking point for you. Greg, who have you got?
So you went with Bale, who's what, 50 now, 50 odd.
Is Bale? I think he's still in his 40s.
Age really on this role.
I'm just putting the doubt in there. I think I went with a pick here. Obviously, he's a very strange character who doesn't do a whole lot, really.
No, he's just a bit mental.
Yeah, and he has a weird gang and loads of hookers.
Yeah,
and he does blow all the time.
yeah, and love sushi.
So I went with someone who actually did loads of blow for years, and whatnot. I went with Pete Davidson here.
Okay.
The only place I could have got him in, and no legitimate high-ranking actor. I know Gary Oldman done it, but will take that role now because of what it is. Especially with the line in the movie. Especially with the line in the movie that he's a white man that thinks he's black. There's no chance.
I don't agree with that statement at all.
I do think you might get a few actors that might take it. I'll tell you who the lads had here and see what you think of these. So King had for Drexel Tom Hardy.
Okay.
Don't
I can kind of see it.
Don't like that at all. Drexel's meant to be a bit of a weedy bastard. Because he's not meant to be super strong, he's just meant to be a bit mental. And then Tom had Boyd Holbrook, who I don't really know well enough to judge.
Pretty sure he used this person the last time he gave us a list as well, didn't he?
He might have done. I don't know Boyd Holbrook well enough to really give a judgment on that one.
I don't know him at all. I don't think.
I don't know.
He was in Logan, but and then like he's in Narcos. I haven't seen Narcos, and he was in The Predator, the 2018 one. So he does have, he has a list of films there that are quite good.
He was in The Sandman.
Yeah, again, I don't know him well enough, so I can't really judge on that. I had a bit of a weird one here. So my backup here, because I think he would play this role and I think he'd play it quite well, was Bill Skarsgård. My worry with Bill Skarsgård was, would he take the role because he's such a big name now? Would he actually take that role? Like I was thinking, the Pennywise style.
I think he would. If you've seen Barbarian, he has quite a limited role in that.
Yeah.
Even though he's the name on it.
Yeah, I don't know. He could have taken it. I went someone a little bit smaller of a name, although I know I was the one who said that Oldman was a big name here. This person is a relatively big name, but nowhere near what Oldman was. I went for Robert Sheehan here, who I think plays that kind of scrappy.
Who, sorry?
Robert Sheehan.
Okay.
He plays that scrappy, drug-addled little monster. I think he plays that so well, and I think that's probably the pick I'm happiest with out of all the picks I put in here. I'm really happy with that one because I think he plays it quite well.
Now, the only thing I would say is, right, if you're talking about bringing in, say, we cast Stanley Tucci as Vincenzo, right? You're not going to have a guy who's older than Vincenzo running a little smaller mob with Bale.
Well, I don't think
age doesn't matter about.
Well, I don't think
that's the way it does in this, because he's dictating what's happening to him.
Yeah, well, I don't. Tucci is older than Bale. Just to begin with, Tucci is nearly 20 or 12 years older than Bale.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
I thought he was the way around.
Tucci's in his 60s. Bale's just turned 50.
He's 49.
Yeah, he'll be going 50 this year or next year, and Tucci's already 62. So, that argument doesn't really work there.
Never mind. I looked at it wrong then.
Thank you for arguing in my favor there, Greg.
I still wouldn't think so. I still think Bale's too old to do the part.
See, one of the arguments I would normally use against Bale is the size. I think he's he's a bit
massive.
He's a big guy. But the problem with Bale is that
Christian Bale.
Yeah, the problem with Bale is that he's insane and he will drop himself down to 100 kilos just to.
I can't see him doing that anymore now at this age.
I think it would be a huge risk for him to do it.
It's not as if he was in unbelievable shape playing Gore.
Who?
In
Gore, the God Killer.
In Thor. I don't think Greg watched the latest Thor. I don't think he'd be willing to do what he did for the likes of the Machinists and stuff anymore. I think he's too old now to be able to do.
I think he'd die.
Yeah, I don't think he could do it anymore. Doing it at that age was a risk. Doing it now, I think, would be a death sentence for him to drop that insanely. But it isn't as if it's not as if Drexel's tiny.
Yeah, exactly,
tiny.
He's not skin and bones
Yeah.
I went with Davidson Shealy because of the whole backstory to him. He's a white man that thinks he's a black man, and Davidson's becoming he's not a bad actor to him, to be fair.
He's not.
Not that he does much in this, but like you could picture him being a cocaine dealer.
Yeah. In terms of acting ability, Bale is
Oh, 100% higher.
insanely far ahead,
Bale
right?
beats most people.
He does, right? So Bale is insanely far ahead. The only thing that really goes for Davidson here is that this role just suits Davidson. Like it's
think
just a little druggy bastard, like, and Davidson fits that brilliantly.
I think the Brad Pitt role fits Davidson more than. So there's another role in the movie that we're not recasting, but another role in the movie that suits Davidson better.
So then it doesn't exist right now because there's obviously someone better for that
But
role.
that role is still there.
It
doesn't matter.
I do see what you're saying, but at the same time, if Greg had to recast that role, then he might have had somebody else to go there if he used Davidson here. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think I can use that here.
And I did actually have someone for that role. I had the guy from Stranger Things that drives the pizza truck.
Yeah, Argyle, he'd work quite well there.
Yeah.
Charlie Heaton actually would work quite well there as well. Who'd be a bit bigger of a name than
I also
Argyle.
don't see Bale taking that kind of a role either. That he's in it for minimal amounts of time.
I think that's probably my biggest issue with Bale here at the moment is I don't think he takes such a small role. I know Oldman did, but Oldman was a bit weird like that. Yeah, but
Oldman done random things.
Oldman was always weird like that. Bale is a bit more notorious for wanting to be the main man in things that he's in, or being one of the main men. I don't know that he'd be willing to take this. I think Bale would have been closer to taking
Vincenzo would have been a good one actually.
No, probably like Donowitz or something, like the director maybe. I think he'd probably be closer to taking that just because it's a bit bigger of a role. So I am going to go Davidson here because I do think Davidson could fit in there. I think just it's just the type of role it is. I think Davidson, because that's basically who he was, would just be able to do it so well.
Honda Pete lad.
But Christian Bale would have been a good choice if it wasn't for the fact that it was just a little druggy bastard.
Anyone watching this, you did at some stage during that whole argument just see my eyes widen completely because a different name popped into my head.
Oh,
who was it?
It was Jared Leto.
Now you can go fuck yourself. Take that point off him. Take the next 3 points off him as well.
I'm not a particularly fan of Jared Leto, but that's Jared Leto role.
I think, yeah, Jared Leto, he probably does fit in there, but again, he's quite old. Like this is meant to be someone who's trying to work their way up in the mafia. I think that's also another thing. Like if you're 50 and you're still at like the lowest tier of that mafia, you probably need to stop trying to work your way up and just, just stay where you are, which is part of what went against Bale as well. Just age, like being nearly 50. Right, we'll go with the director Lee Donowitz here because I think Elliot has a little bit more screen time than Donowitz here, so we'll go with Donowitz here. It is back to Greg here, who has a slight lead of 3-2 here at the moment.
Yeah,
that draw could come back to hurt Carl now. They are notorious for hurting him.
So, especially against me.
Yeah. Donowitz, Greg, who have you got here?
Right, so Donowitz, Saul Rebenek was just the whole way he talks with talking out of the side of his mouth is gas.
Yeah, it wasn't a big name at the time.
No, he's a good actor as well, to be fair to him.
He is, but he wasn't a big name at this time. This was a strange role for him.
So I've gone for someone that is a bit out there. It's a little bit left field for me. It's the first time I think he's probably going to be used. I went with Dan Fogler here, who you'd know from Grindelwald's
I used Dan Fogler last week.
Yeah, Dan Fogler. Yeah, he did. Yeah. Oh. So it's not first time use, but it is a good use. I think he could. See, I'll tell you that my one thing with him is the only thing I really know him from is the Fantastic Beasts.
Also Fury.
No, I only really know him from like the Fantastic Beasts, and he's such a lovable goof in that. I don't know that translates well to Donowitz for me. And that's just my ignorance of the rest of his acting career. But we'll see. We'll see who Sherlock has here. It doesn't necessarily mean that Sherlock has been known to pull out people that I've never heard of, and that has hurt him in the past as well. So
you've definitely heard of this person, and I think this might be the first time he's ever been used on this.
Okay.
I went with Paul Giamatti.
Oh, I do like Paul Giamatti.
I like Paul Giamatti. I don't think it's the first time he's been used. I think I've used him once before.
Okay.
And I think it was a big thing then as well, where it was like, whoa, Paul Giamatti, yeah, I never thought of him. I'll tell you who the boys had here, and you can tell me what you think. So King had Nicolas Cage.
Okay, that's all right. I could see that.
And Tom,
a bit old.
Tom had Jonah Hill.
No.
Oh, I like that. Skinny Jonah Hill. Yeah, I like that.
I think fat Jonah Hill maybe works here. I don't know if skinny Jonah Hill works here. I went for someone who's has a bit of a name, but was never the star, as far as I know, in anything they did. And he's been used. I've used him once before. I went with Alan Tudyk here. I think he's very good at being in scenes and not stealing a role. But always does his part very well. Like, you always remember that he's been there. Do you know what I mean?
Good show.
I think Sherlock's going to tie this one up with Paul Giamatti. It's one that we don't use all that much, and as I said,
I can't even argue with it. The only thing I'd say is he too old? But he's a director, so he could be any age.
Yeah, I mean, he's a director, and he's 10 years older than Dan Fogler. You know,
he looks a lot older.
In Hollywood, there's people directing who are in their 70s and 80s, so it's not.
It's literally the only argument I could have made. He was a lot older than the original character. That's it.
Now, possibly, if I want to watch more of Dan Fogler's work, I'll see him in a different light. But at the moment, all I can see him is the happy-go-lucky guy from the series. So
what I went for was he played the best friend to Topper Grace in Take Me Home Tonight, right? And they find cocaine in a car. And he's at a house party. He's doing loads of cocaine. He's like, this isn't working. And he looks in the mirror and he's like, kablamo.
Yeah. See, I'm trying to think of him in the scene, when he's driving the car. And he's like, what are you calling me on this number for? Don't ring me about that sort of thing on this phone.
On a Sunday?
Yeah, like, I'm trying to think that, and I can't see Dan Fogler doing that, whereas I can definitely see Paul Giamatti doing that.
That's what he done. My Big Fat Liar, whatever it's called.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's a really good shout. I could be wrong, but I think that could be 2 for 2 for Paul Giamatti. I think when I used him, I think I might have won as well. I think he might be one of our big. He might be a big success on this show when he gets used. But that levels it up 3-3, which is no good for Sherlock. It's fine for Greg.
I like my pick for this one now.
3 to go though. So
3 to go. Yeah, another draw could really hurt you here.
I don't think we'll get a draw.
We're going into the final 3 here. It has to be Dick here, doesn't it? Like, you got to save the.
Oh, we have Elliot as well.
Oh, sorry.
With 4 left.
Sorry, we do have 4 left. Sorry. So yeah, it's Elliot here. Carl tricked me. Yeah, so it's Elliot here.
You snaky rotten bastard.
Well, I think
take the point off.
I forgot about Dick.
He is also 1 point down from his comments earlier in the group chat of bring Lukaku in. That still counts here, Sherlock.
That's way in the past, especially in YouTube time. That's way in the past.
Doesn't matter. I don't care. You did say it.
So does that mean I'm 3-2 up still? Yes.
It's so Elliot here. It's back to you, Sherlock. Who have you got here? Another relatively minor character.
Yeah, and exactly. I didn't go with a big name here at all. And I went with someone that I don't think has been used before. I went with Jason Schwartzman.
Jason Schwartzman. You could be in trouble here. Because I can't really remember him. The only thing I know him from is Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and he was quite young in that. I'm just looking him up here to see, do I know him from anything more recent? The only thing would be Spider-Man, but like that was animated.
It's a lot of animation stuff he does now, but it looks of it.
Yeah, he's going to
Um,
be in the new Hunger Games. Like he's still out there. He's does all the
So,
Wes Anderson
I
movies.
am looking forward to that new Hunger Games, but I can't judge him off that until I've seen it, unfortunately.
Yeah, he does all the Wes Anderson movies. He was, as you said, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, The Jardine Limited. Like
Um,
he is.
you could be in a bit of trouble here because I can't say I know him from enough, which would be my biggest issue here with him. Greg, who have you got here? You've got to be hoping that whoever Greg gives me here is pure dirt, really, to be honest.
I went with a skinny, awkward cunt. I went with David Dalsmatch here. He was obviously the polka dot man from Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And he's thing. I wanted the first name that actually came to my head for this was Crispin Glover, but he's just far too old.
Well, the first name that should have come to both your heads was Michael Cera, right? That's the first name that should have come here. A real like.
Oh, do you know what?
Guy.
I watched Michael Cera's new movie with
Herbie.
Huh? It's called Parents or Adults with Sophia Lillis from It, and it was just awful. He has a beard and everything, and I was like, "You're not the Michael Cera I know."
See, I think Michael Cera having a beard will just make the film funnier. To be honest,
It's not like
I haven't
he's not.
seen
It's not. It's down as a comedy movie. It's not a comedy movie at all.
Oh yeah, but I'm just saying. I think if I seen Michael Cera with a beard, I think it would just be funny. You know, I just can't picture him with a beard.
And it's a patchy beard as well.
Yeah, well, that's what I would have imagined it would be.
Yeah, it would have to be.
I'll tell you who the boys had here. King had Dylan O'Brien, who I don't think is a terrible shout.
I'd say he's probably closer to Slater.
That's probably where my issue would have been. Is I think he'd probably be closer to the lead man than Elliot was. Tom had Dave Franco.
Oh, I like that now.
Which is a very punchable fella.
You could see him doing that though. That whole coke-filled role. That scene in the car, he's like, "Put it in your bra." No. Put it down in your chest. No. And then it gets coke all over him, and then turning into a Weasley little rat. Oh, absolutely.
I can see Dave Franco doing that role as well. To be fair, I'll tell you who I had. I had a couple of like little backups. One of them was Jamie Campbell Bower, who you'd know from Vecna. I think he could fit into that quite well. But I went with someone who does have a bit of a name, but not in the acting world. Who you could believe would be that kind of very smug and arrogant. When he first meets up with the guys, you know, trying to big league them. But then once he gets caught with the
wrestler, has he?
No, once he gets caught with get caught with drugs and stuff, he's like he's a nervous wreck with the police for the rest of it. So I went with someone who I think could have filled that in. I went with Nick Jonas.
Is he not an actor? He is an actor.
Well, yeah, he is, but like, you know,
Jumanji.
Yeah, I'm not saying he hasn't done acting, but that's not.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said when he's not in the acting world. I was like, oh dear.
No, he's not. I said he's not as big in the acting world. Like he's definitely bigger, and like still at this day, I would say he's still known more for being a singer than an actor at this point in his life.
Yeah.
I think he would fit into that quite well. It's quite a small role. Lets him come in. He can be arrogant and stuff to the boys before he gets caught with the drugs, and then act like a little cowardly weasel.
That's so funny, that scene in the car.
Yeah, and then even when he's in when they're in the lift and he thinks he's about to get shot and stuff. Like
I want someone to come and get me.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I just feel Nick Jonas would do that very, very well. I think he could play both parts of that very well and be quite believable in both.
I can't say I know enough of him in the acting world, so I can't even argue with it.
Yeah, I also wanted to keep the character relatively young because he's meant to kind of be trying to make his way up in the world of Hollywood, so I didn't want to make him too close in age to my director. But again, that, as we said, it doesn't really matter when it comes to Hollywood. They can kind of be whatever age.
They can be any age, really.
This point will go to Greg. Based solely on
adults.
I just don't know Jason Schwartzman enough. Sherlock. He could be a very good pick. The problem is the only thing I really know him from is Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and I can't remember him well enough from Scott Pilgrim versus the World to be able to overrule David Dalmashian here.
On adults.
Yeah. So it puts Greg 4-3 up with 3 to go.
I need 1 point.
1 point will
Yeah.
do it for you.
Sorry, no. I need 1 solo point.
Yeah, well, no, all draws would do you as well. So just 1 point will do you. No matter where.
1 solo point, and then Carl can't beat me.
Yeah, true. So we'll go, as we said, it has to be, we have to leave Clarence and Alabama to the end, so it's going to have to be Dick here.
This is my risky pick.
You risked your dick?
Oh, dear.
Always.
But who have you got here, Greg?
I batted around a couple of names here. Obviously, I had a couple of lads. I had Finn Wolfenhart here, didn't like it.
Too young.
And Noah Schrapp didn't like it.
Too young.
And then I did go with a Stranger Things when I went with Joe Keery here.
Okay.
And we've actually, I think I might have fallen into a trap where we've cast him as a Michael Rappaport character before.
Yeah, I think you might have also fallen into the trap that you started looking at Stranger Things and got sucked into the loophole.
Couldn't
get out of it. Yeah, I think that might have happened to you here. It's happened to me once or twice. But it's not a bad shout, to be fair. I think Joe Geary could do that quite well. Sherlock, who have you got here?
So, okay, the role basically is, his best mate.
Yeah, his best mate and aspiring actor.
Aspiring actor, plays the role with a lot of endearing warmth.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get someone that was very likable and was also a good actor. And as I said, it's my risky pick because I believe if they were remaking a movie like this today, they would diversify the cast a bit. I went with Donald Glover.
I'm gonna make an argument now, right?
Right.
So if he's gone Donald Glover, who's what, probably late 30s, early 40s, his Clarence has to be the same age because they went to school together.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, I'm going to call it now.
I did have that in my head when he said Donald Glover. I was thinking that might be a little.
Is your Clarence the same age as Donald Glover?
They can, you can age people up a little bit and stuff if really needed. I'll tell you who the boys had here.
There's 6 years between them, so like with makeup and shit, that's not.
Yeah.
Anything really.
Well, actually, in terms of when they were cast, there's a year between them, and Dick Ritchie is actually younger.
It's 25 and 24 or something, Andy.
23 and 24, yeah. I will tell you who the lads had here. So if King was judging, Greg, you would have the point here because he had Joe Keery as well.
Oh, nice.
I think this might be the first time this has happened, but I've matched up with Tom here. I had Ty Sheridan here. Who was the lead from Ready Player One.
I like that. That's a good show. That's a good show.
I think he's not a huge name. He could fit in there. He's not going to steal the spotlight from anyone. And I
like Rappaport in this. Rappaport was great. He got himself into a load of big things.
Oh yeah, no,
probably his best role.
He's very good in it. It's just he doesn't steal the spotlight. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that his character's not meant to steal the spotlight. That's the one thing, that is important there.
I went down the likable route. He plays his affable friend. We've seen him Glover do it in the likes of Community, Atlanta, Guava Island.
I do see exactly where you're coming from because if I'm thinking Donald Glover, I am thinking the likable friend in Community. Unfortunately, Community is quite a few years old now, and we are talking about a man who is meant to be who's nearly 40 now in Donald Glover. And I think those same traits apply to Joe Keery. I think Joe Keery is very likable and is, the good best friend and everything. And not in the first season of Stranger Things, I will admit he wasn't the likable guy in that. But since then, he's become like...
He's the stealer, isn't he? He just... everyone loves him.
Spoiler warning, I guess. But like the most recent one, when everyone thought that he died to the bats attacking him, everyone's heart dropped. People were so upset about that.
Wasn't there petitions and everything before the episode came out? There were like petitions to get him brought back and stuff.
Because that episode was like the last one before they did that little mini break in the latest
Till
series.
November, yeah.
Yeah, and people were like shitting it that he was going to die, and yeah, there was petitions and stuff. So I think he is very likable. So I am going to go Joe Keery just based on age there. I think Donald Glover is a great shout. He's just that little bit too old to be there now. But that's the only reason I would go against him.
It depends on who's cast as the lead, isn't it?
It does, but it also depends on who's cast as Clifford, because if you're talking the son being in his 40s, and they are meant to be young, impulsive,
and black, you've cast a white man as his dad, and
no, I don't. No, because we don't know Dick Ritchie's dad.
Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, sorry, I'm mixing up.
Yeah, we have no idea who Dick's dad is. I would have no problem with that. It's just it is literally just age that puts Joe Keery in there for me. Clarence is the main man in this, so we'll go with Alabama here.
I'll tell you what, lads.
Terrible name. What a shit name.
Alabama Whitman.
Yeah, what a dirt name.
She was particularly good looking in this, lads.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll go with you, Sherlock. Who have you got here? Obviously, this is all but over, but you can possibly battle your way back to a tie, you know?
Florence Pugh.
Yeah, it's a solid pick there, Greg.
Yeah.
That was the first name I put down. Then I changed it, and then she didn't even make a backup in the list. I had a couple of backups. I had Zendaya. I was like, if I went Zendaya, I knew I would have to go with. If I picked Zendaya, I would have had to go somebody else as the main. I had Chloe Grace Moretz right up until about half an hour ago.
Right.
And then I changed it to Haley Steinfeld. Shirley, when I look back on Hawkeye and then that fight scene where she fights back against Virgil in the hotel room, and obviously I can't argue with Florence Pugh either because she's a badass motherfucker
she
too.
Does it in Hawkeye as well.
Yeah, I'll tell you that if King was judge here, he had Chloe Grace Moretz, so he would probably go with Greg, because Greg had that as a backup. Tom, a bit left field here. I don't really know her from that much. Julia Garner.
Ozark, is it?
Yeah, Ozark. I haven't seen Ozark, but
me neither.
I've heard people talking about it.
I have heard people talking about it. I haven't seen it. So I can't give any opinion on that pick. His backup was Florence Pugh, though.
I think it was probably the right pick. I tried to go outside it, and
I had two backups here. One was Erin Moriarty from The Boys.
Oh yeah.
Who I think could do it quite well, and she's not afraid to play the sort of character that's meant to be, promiscuous and stuff. Florence Pugh was my other backup. I went with Anya Taylor-Joy here, who we've kind of stopped using a bit here. I think she would work quite well here.
That's because she got cast and everything for about 6 months.
She did, but I do think that she was getting cast in them because she deserved to be cast in them.
My other reason for Florence Pugh was you just saw Oppenheimer. She's not afraid to play the promiscuous role.
No, she never has been, and I do agree. I think Florence Pugh fits in there very well.
I'm quite happy. I'd be quite happy to concede that point to Florence Pugh, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it is. It goes to Florence Pugh. That one's not really that close for me. As much as I like Haley Steinfeld, I don't think she fits that role anywhere near as well as Florence Pugh does. So brings it back to being quite respectable. And if Sherlock can take this, it's a draw that will put him to the sword again, which will annoy him even more. But
is it really a draw though when you look at it? I know the result will say a draw because it's not me winning the last one to survive.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. A draw is a draw. It doesn't matter, So we
go a notch on the win belt for the champ.
we go with Clarence. Who have you got here, Greg?
So actually, I had Joe Keery here as well as a backup, and I was hemming and hawing about which one to put him in as. Now I'm kind of happy where I stuck him.
Yeah.
So as you can see on the sheet, it's still there. If I had a went Zendaya, I was going to go Tom Holland. Didn't like that at all. Did not
he was
like it.
He was my backup as well.
Yeah. I think Hollywood
absolutely.
wise, I think Hollywood wise, Tom Holland is getting cast here. I think that's just fact.
I've gone one that I think supersedes Tom Holland in this one. Obviously, Christian Slater wasn't a renowned major action star at this stage either.
Yeah.
I went with Timothée Chalamet here, who plays the real awkward kind of scruffy looking lad that thing is, and he can play the nerd that he supposedly is.
Yeah. I think if we go Hollywood, which is something we've said we don't really want to do, because if we're doing a Hollywood, it is going to be Tom Holland in like nearly every film with a young guy in it. But I do think that, if you were going Hollywood, Tom Holland was getting this role, but I don't like him for this role myself either. So I hope you don't have him here, Sherlock.
Nah, he was my backup. Again, at one stage I did have Tom Holland and Zendaya, but I moved away from both. Who I chose here was someone who has previously played a nerdy role. And he can still be quite nerdy in things. I went with Greg's old nemesis.
No, fuck off now. If he's big in that same person, bollocks. He cannot say he's played a nerdy role. He was about 15 when he done Kick-Ass. He's fucking too big now. He's huge.
Wait, you're not actually going Aaron Taylor Johnson.
You're not what?
I said you're not.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, yeah.
Didn't okay.
Yeah,
right. Well, I'll tell you who the lads went. Right. King went Tom Holland, which I said I don't particularly like.
Yeah.
Tom.
It's easy. It's the easy pick.
Yeah, Tom went Dylan O'Brien, which I actually think is way closer to the mark than Tom Holland here. I had two here. Two different ones. I did have Dylan O'Brien there for a while. I had a backup Ansel Elgort.
From Han Solo?
Yeah, I think he could fit in there.
And Oppenheimer.
Yeah, but I actually went with Dylan Minnette here.
Okay.
It's
a strange one out there, yeah. I like Dylan Minnette.
Again, he hasn't been a huge lead role in too many things. You know, he's had a lot of kind of smaller ones. He was in Scream. Goosebumps, things like that. Like, he has had a lot of big films to his name, but he hasn't been the lead guy. But as we said at the time, Thing wasn't a big name. Yeah, Slater wasn't a big name.
I'm sorry, but Aaron Taylor Johnson's far too big.
Yeah, there's
stocky wise. He's fucking. Did you not see him in the ads for Craven? He's huge.
Yeah, no, this one isn't close to Aaron Taylor. Even if you'd brought it to the wire here, that would have scuppered you there. Aaron Taylor Johnson is just too muscular now.
Again,
he played nerd. Fuck off, Carl.
He did play a nerd in 20 years ago. Well, not 20, but
again, a name just popped into my head that I actually think might have won this.
Dylan Minnette.
Was it Dylan Minnette? Because he would have won.
It was Jack Quaid.
No.
Jack Quaid would have been a lot closer to the mark than Aaron Taylor Johnson, because he is very good at playing that kind of nerdy and then going psychotic and just killing someone. Like, I actually think Jack Quaid would have been quite good there. The only reason I went with Dylan Minnette is I wanted someone who wasn't as big a name and was a little bit younger to keep them in line with my Ty Sheridan. But Jack Quaid would have worked there because, especially with who Greg had there, Jack Quaid could have worked quite well because they're both around the same age.
Do you know what, lads? I remember, I think I watched this when I was about 12 or 13, and I don't think I'd seen it since. So sitting down to rewatch that movie was class. The movie's just brilliant all around.
It's a great movie.
I'd never seen this. I'd never seen it before.
It's a great movie.
No, it was very good.
That Sicilian scene's just brilliant.
I think that steals the whole film, to be honest.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't it? With the
when
two
you look
actors
at it, if you're going to get someone to drop the N-bomb about 40 times in the space of 3 minutes, who better than Dennis Hopper?
I do think they probably would pull back on that a little bit now if it was to be remade. I don't think they'd...
Oh, absolutely, they take it out now.
I think they'd still drop maybe one, maybe two. I don't think they'd do it as often as Dennis did
I
here.
don't know if Tarantino's still writing it. They do.
Yeah, maybe.
But like as I says, no one better than Dennis Hopper to do it, really.
No, he was brilliant. He was brilliant here. Yeah.
But as I says, I watched this when I was about 13 or 14, and I watched it over in England with my uncle, who brought me to the cinema to see the film I'm going to give you for the triple threat, lads.
Okay. Yeah, it will be a triple threat because Greg has beaten. Well, I say Greg has beaten. He's beaten the other two lads. He has not beaten me. He's gotten by on a technicality from me, but it does put us into a triple threat because, champion's advantage.
The strap is still on my shoulder, boys.
It is.
And it'll remain there for at least another 2 weeks.
At least another week.
I think we might need to introduce the challenge episode next time Greg has to defend.
Well, this was a
Hold on.
This was a challenge episode.
From out there. You gave me the movie here and still got whooped.
Well, whooped is a
bit harsh.
Whooped is a bit harsh here. No, go on, Greg. What film have we got for our triple threat here?
2004 was the year it came out.
A lot of films.
M. Night Shyamalan done it.
Oh, okay.
It's got a massive cast.
It's actually one I haven't seen before.
Have you not?
No.
I went to see this in the cinema and I absolutely hated it. And then I rewatched it earlier on in the year and I was like, I don't know why I hated it. It was so good. Adrian Brody's in it. Brendan Gleeson's in it. My old friend Judy Greer is in it.
Yeah, he loves Judy Greer. Maybe that's why he hated it.
Bryce Dallas Howard. It's going to be The Village.
We are in a Halloween season. We will be in Halloween season, so
yeah. This might fall into the King's wheelhouse here.
Oh God, yeah, fuck.
But we've thought that before with the King, and we've bested him. So we'll have to see how this one goes. The Village. It's going to be. I actually don't know if I've seen this before.
It is on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I've definitely discussed it with Greg was telling me about it before, telling me how good it was, but I don't think I've ever watched it. I kept meaning to. So it'll be a first time watch for me as well, Carl. So
what a twist.
Yeah. Well, there's always
a twist.
Of course
it's an M. Night movie.
But
the twist is the scores got reversed and I win, yeah.
Oh, is that the twist?
The twist is Sherlock's back in the doctors on Monday to get another sick note to do till Christmas time.
No, I think
I was really sick.
Yeah, really sick. Yeah,
of losing.
Sick of losing. Yeah, you and King, two sick boys. But that's it for this week. Don't forget to like, share, follow, all that good stuff on YouTube. Leave a comment. Let us know if you feel any of the picks were wrong. There's definitely one that could have been going to Sherlock. It's just I didn't know enough from the actor at the time. So very, if people think that should have been the way it goes, it will be interesting to hear. And don't forget to check the guys out over on the Slab for all your horror needs, interviews, film reviews, lists and stuff. Mainly interviews at the moment with some really great guests. So don't forget to check them out there. And there will also be there will also upcoming quite shortly be another quiz that we did last year for On the Slab, where Sherlock set up a horror quiz for us. So we'll be doing that again. Greg,
can I retain my title in that one too?
Greg destroyed me and Sherlock, or me and King the last time. It
wasn't even competition.
Yeah, no, he absolutely destroyed us. But we'll see. Maybe
I am changing things a little bit, the format from last year, so maybe it won't be so heavily in Greg's favor.
Listen, Greg deserved.
It was in my favor.
No, well, listen, Greg deserved that win. He had the better knowledge. But until next week, good luck.